Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be in the world of college football, but before I get into today's topic, let me quickly say that in yesterday's video, I talked about the NFL Black Monday, which is what they call it, because the Monday after the NFL regular season ends, normally a lot of coaches get fired. So after I posted yesterday's video, the Houston Texans fired David Culley after one season, so you can add him to the list of NFL coaches fired after the season. And honestly, I feel bad for David Culley because the Texans are in complete rebuilding mode, and they pretty much said before the season that they were in complete rebuilding mode. And you bring in a coach with no experience who's already set up to fail because he's brand new to the job with a rebuilding team, and you suck, and he gets fired. So I feel bad for him because is he really a bad coach, or is it because the Texans have absolutely no talent whatsoever? But hopefully he'll get a job somewhere else. But on to today's topic. Today I'm going to be doing a quick rewind, in case you have not seen it, of the final 2021-2022 college football poll. Now, of course, ESPN puts out one, the AP puts out one, 24/7 Sports puts out one, CBS Sports puts out one, Fox Sports puts out one. So you can pick whichever one you choose to pick as far as which one you want to go with. But I'm going to go with the 24/7 myself, only because 24/7, I like their articles, I like their writers. I usually typically go with the 24/7 when it comes to recruiting. So I'm just a fan of 24/7, so that's the one I'm going to use. But for the most part, it's the same teams, just maybe a little bit different order. Number one, of course, is Georgia after winning the national championship. Number two, Alabama. Number three, Michigan. Number four, Cincinnati. And number five, Baylor. Phenomenal season for Dave Aranda in year number 2 with the Baylor Bears. Number 6, Ohio State. Number 7, Oklahoma State. Number 8, Notre Dame. Number 9, Michigan State. And number 10, Oklahoma. And speaking of Oklahoma, I tried to find the article before I did the video, and I just can't find it. Maybe I'll find it later, but right after they won their bowl game, one of their defensive players came out and said that Oklahoma's problem in 2021 was Lincoln Riley. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because even here on the channel throughout the season, I talked about almost every single week when I was talking college football about how I was waiting for Oklahoma's offense to just explode, and it never did. And every year Lincoln Riley was there, their offense was phenomenal. They just always had a problem stopping anybody. And this year, for whatever reason, their offense never took off. And then when Bob Stoops came in there and coached their bowl game, the offense looked the best it looked the entire year. And I think it was clear right after USC fired Clay Helton that they wanted Lincoln Riley, and I think Lincoln Riley agreed to be their coach back in the middle of the season, because if you think about it, he was named their coach, and as soon as he was named their coach, USC told him, oh, by the way, we've already bought you a house. You can't buy a coach a house as soon as you hire him. So I think they had already bought him a house, and he had already agreed to be the coach. And I don't think Oklahoma knew he was leaving, but I think they knew something was going on, and you could tell because their offense just never took off this year. And Lincoln Riley's always been known as an offensive genius. Number 11, Ole Miss. Number 12, Utah. 13, Pittsburgh. 14, Clemson. And 15, Wake Forest. Now, Clemson has finished inside the top 15 in the final poll 8 consecutive years, dating back to the 2014 season. Now, I know they've won at least 10 games, 11 straight years, dating back to 2011, which is the year they won 10 games and then played West Virginia in the Orange Bowl and gave up 70, and Kevin Steele was fired pretty much during the game as defensive coordinator. But in my personal opinion, 2014 was really the year that this awesome streak they're on started, because 2014, if you recall, was the year that Deshaun Watson was a freshman, and they decided that he wasn't quite ready to be the full-time starting quarterback. He played some against Georgia, but he didn't start. Cole Stout was their starter, and Cole Stout started early in the season, and Clemson lost to Georgia and Florida State in the first 3 weeks of the season. So after they got those quick 2 losses, they pretty much just benched Cole Stout and decided to go with Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson was their starter the rest of the season until he tore his ACL. And they say he played against South Carolina with a torn ACL. But then he missed the bowl game, and Cole Stout played, and they beat Oklahoma 40-6 in the bowl game. And they had, if not the best, but one of the best defenses in the country that year. So 2014, in my opinion, was really, truly the year that they started this great run they're on, even though they have won at least 10 games, 11 straight years, dating back to 2011. So they have now finished inside the final top 15 when the final poll comes out after the season. Number 16, Louisiana. 17, Houston. 18, Kentucky. 19, BYU. And 20 is NC State. And in my personal opinion, even though it doesn't mean a hill of beans because it's the final poll after the season, but NC State should be higher than that. It's not their fault. Their bowl game got canceled. And I hate to say anything good about them because Dave Doran is the most boring man ever. You could talk to a tree and get more than Dave Doran gives you, and he struggles with recruiting for whatever reason. He can hardly ever even get a 4-star player. But when he gets players in there and they don't transfer and they stay their entire 4 to 5 years, they're actually a really good team. And their quarterback, Devin Leary, who in my opinion is extremely underrated, has announced he will return next year. So NC State, in my opinion, is at least a top 15 team. 21, Arkansas. 22, Oregon. 23, Iowa. 24 is Utah State. And rounding out the final top 25 was San Diego State. Now, of course, they've already released a way too early 2022 poll, and honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about it or not because it doesn't mean anything. They base it strictly on how you played this past season and how many of your key players are returning. But there's nothing in common between what you did this past year and what you're going to do coming up next year. How many times do you see a team go 11-1 or 10-2, and you think, oh, we're going to be good next year, and then they come out and they go 6-6. So there is no similarities outside of the players between one year to the next. But I may still talk about it just because I know we love college football. But I did want to give a quick note, speaking of college football, just in case you have not seen this. 1980, of course, until this year was the last time Georgia won a national championship. But in 1980, they beat Clemson early that season, and then they won the national championship. And then 1981, of course, Clemson won the national championship. And then this year, Georgia beats Clemson early in the season, and then they win the national championship. So hopefully that means in 2022, Clemson will win the national championship. I, for one, would be all for it. And I do want to ask a question because it absolutely drives me crazy, and I want to know if it bothers anybody else or if anybody else even notices it or not. And the only reason I notice it is because Clemson won the national championship in the 2016 regular season and the 2018 regular season. But you can actually, and I know people that have this, so I'm being truthful, I'm not making it up. Even though they won the national championship in the 2016 regular season and the 2018 regular season, there are people that have apparel that has 16, 17, 18, and 19 on it, which makes it look like Clemson won the national championship 4 straight years. Drives me crazy. Because if you go to a Clemson store or a Clemson website and buy anything, it says 2016 national champions. But if you go to the NCAA website and buy officially licensed gear, it says 2017 national champions. So it's one championship celebrated in 2 years. Just like 2018, they won it, but then the title game was played in 2019. So if you go to the NCAA website, it says 2019 national champions. And you can see it this year with Georgia, because any T-shirt that you buy from a Georgia apparel store, online or in store, says 2021 national champions. But if you noticed, after they won the other night, the players had on hats that said 2022. Now we need to decide what year we celebrating the national championship, because it drives me crazy that Georgia wins the national championship and their hats say 2022, and we have not yet had a regular season in 2022. So they won a championship for a year. We ain't even played a regular season yet. That drives me up the wall. I just wish they would decide which year we're going to celebrate. I know the championship game is in January, but the season is September through December. So we need to pick which one we're going to celebrate. Are we going to celebrate the year of the regular season, or are we going to celebrate the year of the actual game? That drives me up the wall. If it bothers anybody else, please feel free to let me know. That's just one of the many things that are useless in the world of sports, but absolutely drive me crazy. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Why couldn't the couple get married at the library? It was all booked up. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.